my IRL friend.
His only IRL friend. I am the Very Purple Gamer, and you watching my side. This is Green Dragon. He's my... So, am I lying?
No, but I got a lot of friends, more than you, though.
Online friends. Anyways.
And real life friends.
Alright, guys. So, I'm going to talk here for a little while. If you're on Green's side, you can listen to me. If you don't want to listen to me, deal with it.
Or leave.
I mean, that's fine. Okay. So what's gonna happen in this? What's gonna happen is this stream is he's gonna be playing Dead by Daylight, of course. And if you're on my side, you're gonna be seeing this screen the entire time because this stream isn't meant for on my side to you be watching necessarily as listening. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from the beginning of this book that I have here, and I'm gonna read to you while he plays a game. So let me just find the beginning here. So what I'm going to be reading to you is The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan. So I'm going to start reading while he gets into the game. So you can talk further from there, Green. And yeah, you can tell me when you're ready for me to read. Tell me when you're ready to read.
Alright, now.
Alright, and don't forget, if you could, go on your and go look at my stream. Alright, I'm in your stream. You are getting into a game currently. Yep, you should be good on... You're good on my side. How about me?
It hasn't gave me... Wait, has it?
As long as audio's recording, it should be fine.
It hasn't gave me... notification yet.
Go into YouTube, go into your inbox, it should be fine. Or just go to my channel. If it's not there, go to your channel.
Well, I'm in a match now.
Okay, yeah,
Hello,
I see.
one person, welcome to the stream.
That's me.
Oh. Hi, Mom.
Anyways. So, are you in my stream? You can easily just go to my channel. Just, like, go to your subscriptions. And channel.
Alright, there, I'm at your channel.
Alright, what
I'm watching this.
Can you hear everything? Is everything,
it's
like, audio?
It's loading right now. It's loading right now. Yeah, alright, there.
Is audio working correctly?
Yes.
Alright, audio's working fine. Alright, you ready for me to start reading?
Yes.
Alright. Chapter 1. A death at the needle. We'll only have a few hours, so listen carefully. If you're hearing this story, you're already in danger. Sadie and might be your only chance. Go to the school. Find the locker. I won't tell you which school or which locker, because if you're the right person, you'll find it. The combination is 133233. By the time you finish listening, you'll know what those numbers mean. Just remember, the story we're about to tell you isn't complete yet. How it ends will depend on you. The most important thing, when you open the package and find what's inside, don't keep it longer than a week. Sure, it'll be tempting. I mean, it'll grant you almost unlimited power. But if you possess it too long, it will consume you. Learn its secrets quickly and pass it on. Hide it for the next person, the way Sadie and I did for you. Then, be prepared for your life to get very interesting. Okay, Sadie is telling me to stop stalling and get on with the story. Fine. I guess it started in London, the night our dad blew up the British Museum. Turn the page. My name is Carter Kane. I'm 14 and my home is a suitcase. You think I'm kidding? Since I was 8 years old, my dad and I have traveled the world. I was born in LA, and my dad's an archaeologist. So his work takes him all over. Mostly, we go to Egypt, since that's his specialty. Go into a bookstore, find a book about Egypt. There's a pretty good chance. It was written by Dr. Julius Cain. You want to know how Egyptians pulled the brain out of mummies? Or built the pyramids? Or cursed King Tut's tomb? My dad is your man.
Just a second.
Of course, there are other reasons my dad moved around so much. But I didn't know his secret. Someone's in my room bugging me. Sorry for people watching this live stream. It's very sad.
Sorry for that noise in the background, guys.
I'm back.
I see.
Alright. Thank you everyone for waiting. I'll continue the story now. Oh. Is my stream still good?
Yeah, it's so good.
Alright, you kinda like bugged out for a little bit, but you're still good right now. Alright. I didn't go to school. My dad homeschooled me. If you can call it a homeschooling when you don't have a home. He sort of taught me whatever he thought was important. So I learned a lot of things about Egypt and basketball stats and my dad's favorite musicians. I read a lot too. Pretty much anything I get my hand on, from dad's history books to fantasy novels. Because I spent a lot of my time sitting around in hotels and airports and dig sites in foreign countries where I didn't know anybody. My dad was always telling me to put the book down and play some ball. If you ever try to start a game of pickup basketball in Aswan, Egypt, it's not easy. Anyway, my dad trained me early to keep all my possessions in a single suitcase that fits in an airplane's overhead compartments. My dad packaged the same way, except he was allowed an extra work bag for his archaeology tools. Rule number 1. I was not allowed to look in his work bag. That was a rule I never broke until the day of the explosion. It happened on Christmas Eve. We were in London for a vacation day with my sister Sadie. See, Dad's only allowed 2 days a year with her. One in the winter, one in the summer, because her grandparents hate him. Of course, after our mom died, her parents, our grandparents, had this big court battle with Dad. After 6 lawyers, 2 fist fights, and a near fatal attack with a spatula, don't ask, they won the right to keep Sadie with them in England. She was only 6, 2 years younger than me, and they couldn't keep both of us. At least, that was their excuse for not taking me. So Sadie was raised as a British school kid, and I traveled around the world with my dad. We only saw Sadie twice a year, which was fine with me. Shut up, Sadie. Yes, I'm getting to that part. Excuse me. So anyways, my dad and I had just flown into Heathrow after a couple of delays. It was a drizzly, cold afternoon. The whole taxi ride into the city, my dad seemed kind of nervous. Now, my dad is a big guy. You wouldn't think. That afternoon he wore his cashmere winter coat and his best brown suit. The one he used for public lectures. Usually, he exudes so much confidence that he dominates any room he walks into. But sometimes, like that afternoon, I saw another side to him that I didn't really understand. He kept looking over his shoulder, like we were being hunted. Dad, I said, as we were getting off the A40. What's wrong? No sign of them, he muttered. Then he must have realized he'd spoken aloud, because he looked at me, kind of startled. Nothing, Carter. Everything's fine. Which bothered me, because Dad's a terrible liar. I already knew when he was hiding something, but I also knew no amount of pestering would get the truth out of him. He was probably trying to protect me. Though, from what I didn't know, sometimes I wondered if he had some dark secret in his past, some old enemy following him maybe, but the idea seemed ridiculous. Dad was just an archaeologist. The other thing that troubled me, Dad was clutching his work bag. Usually he does that. Usually when he does that, it means we're in danger. Like the time gunmen stormed our hotel in Cairo. I heard shots coming from the lobby and ran downstairs to check on my dad. By the time I got there, he was just calmly zipping up his work bag while 3 unconscious gunmen hung by their feet from the chandelier, their robes falling over their heads so you could see their boxer shorts. Dad claimed to not have witnessed anything, and in the end, police blamed a freak chandelier malfunction. Another time, we got caught in a riot in Paris. My dad found the nearest parked car, pushed me into the back seat, and told me to stay down. I pressed myself against the floorboards and kept my eyes shut tight. I could hear my dad in the driver's seat, rummaging his bag, mumbling something to himself, while the mob yelled and destroyed things outside. A few minutes later, he told me it was safe to get up. Every other car on the block had been overturned and set on fire. Our car had been freshly washed and polished, and several 22-euro notes had been tucked under the windshield wipers. Anyway, I'd come to respect the bag. It was our good luck charm. But when Dad kept it close, it meant we were going to need good luck. We drove through the city center, heading east toward my grandparents' flat. We passed the golden gates of Buckingham Palace, the big stone column, and the Trafalgar Square. London is a pretty cool place, but after you've traveled for so long, all cities start to blend together. Other kids I met sometimes say, "Wow, you're so lucky. You get to travel so much." But it's not like we spend our time sightseeing or having a lot of money to travel in style. We stayed in some pretty rough places, and we hardly ever stay anywhere longer than a few days. Most of the time it feels like we're fugitives rather than tourists. I mean, you wouldn't think my dad's work was dangerous. He does lectures on topics like, can Egyptian magic really kill you? And favorite punishments, and checking every hotel room before he lets me walk into it. He'll dart into a museum to see some artifacts, take a few notes, and rush out again, like he's afraid to be caught on security cameras. One time when I was younger, he raced across the Charles de Gaulle airport to catch a last-minute flight. And Dad didn't relax until the plane was off the ground. I asked him point blank what he was running from. He looked at me like I had just pulled the pin out of a grenade. For a second, I was scared he might actually tell me the truth. He said, "Carter, it's nothing." As if nothing were the most terrible thing in the world. After that, I decided maybe it was better not to ask questions. My grandparents, the Thoughts, lived in a housing development near Canary Wharf, right on the banks of the River Thames. The taxi let us off at the curb. My dad asked the driver to wait. We were halfway up the walk when Dad froze. He turned and looked behind us. "What?" I asked. Then I saw the man in the trench coat. It was across the street, leaning against a big dead tree. He was barrel-shaped, with skin the color of roasted coffee. His coat and black pinstripe suit looked expensive. He had long, braided hair, and wore a black fedora pulled down low over his dark round glasses. He reminded me of a jazz musician, the kind my dad would always drag me to see in concert. Even though I couldn't see his eyes, I got the impression he was watching us. He might have been an old friend or colleague of Dad's. No matter where we went, Dad was always running into people he knew. But it seems strange that the guy was waiting here, outside my grandparents'. And he didn't look happy. Carter, my dad said, go on ahead, but get your sister. I'll meet you back at the taxi. He crossed the street towards the man in the trench coat, which left me with two choices. Follow my dad and see what was going on, or do what I was told. I decided on the slightly less dangerous path. I went to retrieve my sister. Before I could even knock on the door, Sadie opened the door. Late as usual, she said. She was holding her cat, Muffin, who had been a going-away gift from Dad 6 years ago. Muffin never seemed to get older or bigger. She had fuzzy yellow and black fur, like a miniature leopard, alert yellow eyes, pointy ears that were too tall for her head. A silver Egyptian pendant dangled from her collar. She didn't look anything like a muffin. But Sadie had been a little when she named her. So I guess you have to cut her some slack. Sadie hadn't changed much either since last summer. As I'm recording this, she's standing right next to me, glaring. So I'd better be careful how I describe her. You would never guess she's my sister. First of all, she's been living in England so long, she has a British accent. Second, she takes after our mom, who was white. So Sadie's skin is much lighter than mine. She has straight caramel-colored hair. Not exactly blonde, but not brown, which she usually dyes with streaks of bright colors. That day, it had red streaks down the left side. Her eyes were blue. Serious. Blue eyes. Just like her mom's. She's only 12. She's exactly as tall as me. Which is really annoying. She was chewing gum as usual. Dressed for her day out with Dad. Battered jeans, a leather jacket, and combat boots. Like she was going to a concert and was hoping to stomp on some people. She had headphones dangling around her neck, in case we were bored. Okay, she didn't hit me, so I guess I did an okay job of describing her. Our plane was late, I told her. She popped a bubble, rubbed Muffin's head, and tossed the cat inside. Gran, go now. From somewhere in the house, Grandma fussed, said something I couldn't make out properly. Don't let them in. Sadie closed the door and guarded me as if I were a dead mouse or cat just dragged in. So, here you are again. Yep. Come on then, she sighed. Let's get on with it. That's the way she was. No. Hi. How have you been the last 6 months? So glad to see you. Or anything. But that was okay with me. When you only see each other twice a year, it's like you're distant cousins rather than siblings. We had absolutely nothing in common except our parents. We trudged down the steps. I was thinking how she smelled like a combination of old people's house and bubblegum when she stopped so abruptly. I ran into her. Who's that? She asked. I had almost forgotten about the dude in the trench coat. He and my dad were standing across the street next to the big tree, having what looked like a serious argument. Dad's back was turned, so I couldn't see his face, but he gestured with his hands like he does when he's agitated. The other guy scowled and shook his head. Don't know, I said. He was there when he pulled up. It looks familiar, Sadie frowned, like she was trying to remember. Come on. Dad wants us to wait in the cab, I said, even though I knew it was no use. Sadie was already on the move. Instead of going straight across the street, she dashed up the sidewalk for half a block, ducking behind cars. She crossed to the opposite side and crouched under a low stone wall. She started sneaking towards our dad. I didn't have much choice but to follow her example, even though it made me feel kind of stupid. 6 years in England, I muttered. And she thinks she's James Bond? Sadie swatted me without looking back and kept creeping forward. A couple more steps and we were right behind that big head tree. Patton said, "Who must have been Amos." His voice was deep and even very insistent. His accent was American. "If I don't stop you, Julius, they will. The Perk-Ank is shadowing you." Sadie turned me and mouthed the words. "Her what?" I shook my head, just as mystified. "Let's get out of here," I whispered, because I figured we'd be spotted any minute and get in serious trouble. Sadie, of course, ignored me. "They don't know my plan," my father was saying. "By the time they figured it out..." "And the children?" Amos asked. Hair stood up on the back of my neck. "What about them?" "I made arrangements to protect them," my dad said. "Besides, if I don't do this, we're all in danger. Now back off." "I can't, Julius." "Then it's a duel you want." Dad's tone turned deadly serious. "You never could beat me, Amos." I hadn't seen my dad get violent since the Great Spatula Incident, and I wasn't anxious to repeat that. But the two men seemed to be edging towards a fight. Before I could react, Sadie popped out and shouted, "Dad!" He looked surprised when she tackle-hugged him, but not nearly as surprised as the other guy, Amos. He backed up so quickly, jumped over his own trench coat. He'd taken off his glasses. Couldn't help thinking that Sadie was right. He did look familiar, like a very distant memory. I must be going," he said. He straightened his fedora and lumbered down the street. Our dad watching him go. He kept to... My bad. Our dad watched him go. He kept one arm protectively around Sadie and one hand inside his work bag, slugged over his shoulder. Finally, when Amos disappeared around the corner, Dad relaxed. He took his hand out of the bag and smiled at Sadie. "Hello, sweetheart." Sadie pushed away from him and crossed her arms. "Oh, now it's sweetheart, isn't it? You're late. Meditation days are nearly over." "And what was that about? Who's Amos? And what's the Perk-Ank?" Dad stiffened. He glanced at me, like he was wondering how much he'd overheard. "It's nothing," he said, trying to sound upbeat. "I have a wonderful evening planned. Who'd like a private tour of the British Museum?" So he slumped in the back of the taxi between Dad and me. "I can't believe it," she grumbled. "One evening together, and you want to do research?" Dad tried for a smile. "Sweetheart, it'll be fun. The curator of the Egyptian collection personally invited. Right, big surprise." Sadie blew a strand of red-streaked hair out of her face. "Christmas Eve. We're going to see some moldy old routes from Egypt. Do you ever think about anything else?" Dad didn't get mad. He never gets mad at Sadie. He just stared out the window at the darkening sky and the rain. "Yes," he said quietly, "I do." Hello, everyone. So I'm going to have to end that there because looks like Green Dragon has left. I did see that. Sadly, I did indeed see that he did leave.